Hello my friends, and welcome to Paulina Art. Today I'm going to be painting this colorful portrait. I was inspired to do this painting by a beautiful photo I found on Pixabay. Pixabay has thousands of beautiful photos that you can download for free or that you can browse and get ideas. I'm going to attach a link to the photo from Pixabay in case you want to paint this portrait as well. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the techniques that I use to paint portraits. They're very simple and easy techniques that I'm sure if you give them a try, they will work for you as well. A portrait takes time. It requires many steps and many layers of paint, as you will see. If you would like to see how I painted this beautiful, colorful portrait, stay with me and let's paint together. Today, I'm working on 12 by 12 canvas. I really like this size of canvas. It's not too small, it's not too big, and you can do landscapes, you can do portraits. I'm really into this size of canvas at the moment. I prepped my canvas last night with some white gesso and a couple of drops of burnt sienna. I'm going to list below all the colors that I'm using in this painting, and of course you can use whatever colors you have at home. Because I prepped my canvas last night, I'm not going to be lifting any of this paint as I'm painting today. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace my sketch onto my canvas. So I'm going to place it where I feel it's going to look the best. I'm going to secure it with some painter's tape so it doesn't move on me. And I'm going to go ahead and transfer my sketch onto my canvas. If you would like to do this painting, I'm going to link my Facebook page where I have this sketch so you can download it, save it in your computer, and then you can print it. Otherwise, you can download the actual photo from Pixabay, do your own sketch. I'm going to go ahead now and transfer my sketch. Okay, I use graphite transfer paper. And the way that I'm going to be painting this colorful portrait is going to be the same way that I paint any of my portraits. I always like to start with some kind of a background color because this gives me a better sense for the rest of the colors that I'm going to be applying. I'm going to go ahead and trace my sketch so I don't lose it in the paint. I would normally use brown to do the tracing, but because this is a very colorful painting, I'm going to be tracing all of this with black. And I'm going to use a small pointy round brush. You can use the liner brush if you prefer. I can always make some corrections if I notice that something is a little bit off. Every painter or artist has their own way and technique to do portraits. I'm just sharing with you what works for me and the way I do them. And if you paint a lot of portraits, eventually you will see what works for you. And try different techniques, see what you like best. I'm adding some shadows too as I see them. The only medium that I'm using at this point is just water, just a little bit. I'm going to add some shadows on the nose. I'm going to start doing the painting basically in blacks and grays at this point. I'm doing the shadow and light as I see, just by leaving some spaces without color. Now I'm going to be doing some floating to create shadows and light. And for that, I'm going to be using this angle brush. You can use a flat brush if you prefer. And I'm going to be using my Liquitex fluid medium, my matte medium. You can use floating medium or even blending gel, whatever you have at home. And for my floating, I'm going to pick up a little bit of my medium on my brush. I'm going to remove the excess. This is going to help me blend. I'm going to pick up the black just on the toe of the brush. I'm going to blend it. And this is going to help me do all the shadowing this painting requires. So I'm going to start here on where the fingers are on the face. And see how the blending is done for me? My medium is doing the blending for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I want my black to show because I don't want it to disappear once I start applying the other colors. And you're going to put the dark color where the shadow is the most intense. For example, in here, I want the black right under the side of the nose because this is where the shadow is the most intense. The shadow is more intense right by the finger, so that's where my brush is going to go, the dark side. If you go over too much, just clean it up with a damp brush. You can always fix what you don't like. Okay, my friends, we have all our shadows in place, and I'm going to let this dry overnight. Okay, my friends, today is session number 2. I allow this to dry overnight, and that is always a good idea. I can look at my painting with fresh eyes today, and I can see if I need to adjust anything. And also, the paint is very dry, so I'm not going to be lifting any of the paint that I carefully placed yesterday. At this point of the portrait, once I have all my features established and my shadows and light, I do the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the eyes. I'm going to explain everything on one eye, and I'm going to do the other one exactly the same. So I'm going to start by painting the eyeballs or sclera. And if you look at your eyes, they are not white. We assume they're white, but they're really more of a gray blue color. And I have my reference photo here, and I can clearly see that they are not white. This is white. This is more of a blue gray. So I'm going to mix those colors with white, blue, and a little bit of black. I'm going to create the color that I'm looking for. And don't be afraid that it's going to be too dark. And you can test it on this side of your reference photo and see if that's the color you want. And I'm going to mix a little bit of a darker shade, the same colors. And I'm going to add it at the top because this is a shadow that the lids cast on the eye. And I see a little bit of that darker around the iris too. I'm going to use raw sienna for the iris. And with raw umber, a dark brown, I'm going to add the same shadow that the eyelid casts on the eye, but I'm going to add it here, right above the iris. And with the same raw umber, the dark brown, I'm going to start creating the effect of the iris. I'm just doing a zigzaggy kind of motion. Every eye is different, but in this particular photo, it looks like this. I'm going to add some yellow to add some light, but only on this part of the iris. Using the same movements. I'm going to paint the pupil of the eye, and this is always black. Doesn't matter the eye color. With a mixture of black and the dark brown, I'm going to go around the iris, because this is what I see on my reference photo. I'm going to move to the outer side of the eye. To create this color, this flesh color, I'm using burnt sienna and white. And I'm doing here the tear duct and the waterline. Burnt sienna with white creates extremely good flesh tones. And I'm going to add some in here too. I'm going to add some light to the eye. When you do a portrait, you have to be very observant. And I'm going to add some white to create the volume of the eye. And I'm going to add a little bit of highlight that I see in here. And the highlight in the iris. Okay, I'm happy with the eyes. I'm not going to do the eyebrows and eyelashes yet. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start applying color around the eyes. And for that, I'm going to go by what my reference photo is showing me. I'm using a very limited palette because this is what I like, even though this is a very colorful painting. I'm going to list all the colors below. I'm also going to be using some of my matte medium again, just to apply light washes of paint. You can use blending gel or floating medium if that's what you have at home. And I'm just going to mix my colors with a little bit of my medium just to apply light washes of paint. That way I can build my colors slowly and I can still see through what I have done underneath. If this wasn't a colorful painting, I would be applying the skin tones, lighter and darker skin tones, as I would see them on my reference photo. And basically, I'm just following the map that my reference photo is giving me. I'm using my Alizarin Crimson now, which is a nice dark pink. And I'm going to start moving down the nose, because why not? I am blending with my finger to create more of a skin-like texture. With a wet Q-tip, I'm going to remove some of the blue where my light is going to go. And if these layers of paint don't look perfect, it's okay, because this is just the first layer. I'm going to go back and add more layers to intensify the colors. But see how nice when you mix the acrylic with medium, the nice light layers that you apply and how you can see what you've done under. And this way you can build the color much easier than if you apply thick layers that cover everything. Okay, my friends, I'm going to continue applying these thin layers of paint as I see them on my reference photo. Okay, my friends, this is how far I've gotten today. I'm going to let all these layers of paint dry overnight. Today is painting session number 3. I let this dry overnight, so I'm not going to be lifting any of the paint that I have already applied. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to finish applying the layers of paint where the paint is missing and intensify the layers that I feel need more intensity and more color. Okay, I am happy with the layers of paint and how the painting is looking. So let's move to the eyes. Let's finish the eyes and the eyebrows. What I do on this side is going to be the same that I do on the other side. And because I see some highlights on the eyes on my reference photo, I'm going to apply some of the highlights to the lids before I do the lashes. And with a small round brush, I'm going to add some of the highlights I see on the lids. And I see some highlight right in here. I'm just using white. With my small, fine liner brush and some black, I'm going to start doing the eyelashes. And the eyelashes don't come straight out from the lid. They come down a little bit first. They will look much more natural if you come down a little bit first and curve it up. At the front of the eye, you want to do the same, but the eyelashes are much smaller here. And I'm going to add the lower lashes, and they don't come out from here, but from the edge of the waterline. And the same way, we want to give them a little bit of a curvature that follows the shape of the lid. For the eyebrow, I'm going to use a small size angle brush, and I'm going to use black because there's so much color in here. I want to see the eyebrows, and I'm going to try to mimic the way the hair grows. And I'm just going to do hair by hair, just with short strokes of my angle brush. And I want to leave some spaces so it doesn't look like a solid black. And my eye and eyebrow are done. I'm going to do the same on the other eye. Let's add some highlight to the lips now. And with a small round brush, I'm just going to add white here. And I'm just going to blend it a little bit. I'm going to start creating the lines of the lips to give the lips more volume. And again, this curve following the shape of the lips, they don't go straight up, but they have a little bit of a curvature. And with a clean brush, we can blend that so it's not so white. We're going to do the same for the bottom lip. And again, we want to curve it. And I'm going to blend it again. Once all your layers of the paint is done, we can add some highlights to the fingers and nails. Okay, my friends, our colorful portrait is done. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new. If you like this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, comment below, and subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss any future content from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.